This video is going to be about the mysteries of Greenland, or as it looks like it here, Groenland. Maybe they're growing land there, or Groenland, who knows? The groin of the earth, God knows. At this point, there is no way to tell what is up there and what is happening there unless we go there. And very few people have flown over that entirely white area, and so it remains a mystery. And the pictures that have come from Greenland are all a little interesting, and especially the fact that on Google Earth it is one of the only lands besides Antarctica that is pure white. So there are a lot of different places that I'll show, like in Russia and things, around the same latitude, same longitude, and they are covered in snow a little bit, but you can always see some details of the land. For some reason with Greenland and Antarctica, it just becomes white on Google Earth, which is a sign that they're hiding stuff. There are so many signs that they're hiding things from us. Like, for instance, why are there not any views of going over the North Pole in the International Space Station? Why have no planes taken full-blown views with several-hour footage of going straight? Back in the 1920s and stuff, when Admiral Byrd went south in Antarctica, they have tons of footage, thousands of photos that they took. I just read a book called Discovery by Admiral Byrd about his last voyage there, and there's so many pictures. None of us have ever seen them. So many pictures that they actually pieced together maps from it, and with all the land and correspondence and trilateraling, or whatever it's called, tri-coordinating, and there's a lot of evidence, and I've never seen it. It's never come up on the FBI sites or anything. Maybe we should FOIA request it. But either way, Greenland, Friesland, the mysterious island, and then here's why Trump wants to buy Greenland. So there's so many reasons why. I'm glad that Trump actually said something about this at one point early in his presidency, because it brought up the point that something is up in Greenland, something is rich there, and they have a new movie coming out about it, a new disaster apocalypse movie, and so who knows what that is going to be about. But this is Greenland from above, just pure white. So Hollywood always reveals a little bit of interestingness, because in that movie it seems like the world's getting destroyed and the only safe place is going to be Greenland. And then there's also that Mighty Ducks 2 line where they're talking about Greenland being all ice and Iceland being all green. And is that really the case, you know, or is that something that they've switched upon us? Is Greenland really kind of green as well, and Google Earth just kind of fills it in with white? Who knows? There's a lot of misleading things that they can easily divert us in the wrong direction by computer and analyzing everything and changing stuff. So these are all the areas around in that same latitude that are not ice. So if this world is the way they say it is, and the climates are supposed to kind of be somewhat similar as they go around because the sun travels uniformly around, shouldn't there be more Iceland there? More other parts that should probably be covered by snow? So either way, what happened to Greenland? If it is covered in ice, how is it covered in a massive glacier that hasn't melted, that used to be clearly have rivers in between it from some of those old maps that you can see? There was clearly a time there when it was far more green than it is now. And kind of like the Sahara, which is covered in sand throughout our whole existence, we're not sure why. Why is one place just covered in sand, one place is covered in snow, same with Antarctica, covered. But as far as we know, this is just what we've been told. So many people have claimed Admiral Byrd talked, and again on TV at one point, saying that down there was unlimited resources. They apparently used whaling and stuff, was very popular back in the day, and I can see that as being kind of what our people, our kind of more modern people found to be interesting about Greenland. This was kind of interesting too. I wasn't sure if that volcano from that drawing was the same as this one that's out in the sea, but also this reminded me of it. And this is Beirut that just happened, and that looks a lot like a lot of the structures that we've seen, a lot of the stone structures we've seen. I've always wondered how buildings can end up looking kind of so dismantled, so ruined, so rubble induced. And we've seen it here. This is 2 days or day after the blast, that terrible blast in Beirut, and that's what things look like. Looks a lot like the way things look in the middle of the desert in America and many other places. And this is a crater that they said they discovered underneath the glacier, so a big impact crater. Could that have been a giant explosion, a giant bomb? And look at these different lines, these gradients within the rock. Like, it looks like something has shifted downward, something's kind of tilted, or there's been some kind of, I don't know, earthquake or eruption or blast that just set things off. It broke things and made them kind of crumble. And these right here, before we get into Greenland Pics, these are the areas around it. Some of those other islands around Russia that are also covered with ice and snow, but you can still see a lot of things popping up from them. Like if you zoom in on a lot of those, actually, this Russian zone, they're very blurred out, and you can see clearly where the blurs are. It's just someone took a smudge tool in Photoshop, or they did something, and they clearly blur out areas that they don't want people to know about. Like when you look in the North Pole, you can see just tons of different blurred out areas that just show nothing. They're just pixelated granules that you can't tell. They're clearly something hiding there. And this was a very interesting little sinkhole. Almost looks like an entrance to the hollow earth that got filled up. I wonder if that exists. I'll always believe a little bit in the hollow earth. And so this is Antarctica, and there's so many areas of just pure white, but again, you can't see the differences, the different crevices, the different canyons and mountains and peaks. They're just not there. And in Greenland, the same thing. They're just not there. It's just total white. The more you zoom in, there's no gradient, no change, no nothing, no elevation, no nothing. And there used to be a river there, and so it used to be also valleys and different things. There's a lot of stories that tell about different things about Greenland that do not look like the way they are. And so here I'm just going to show the rest, a bunch of different pictures that I discovered on Google Earth that just kind of show this land as being an untapped, kind of amazing place that has more going on than we would have thought. And you know, what if at one point, kind of like in the Sahara, I believe that underneath there is a old civilization. What about up here as well? And what if we are on a flat Earth and the circular rotating sun around us kind of moves over time? Or what if there are other suns? If there's a northern sun that kind of comes in and gets a little bit of this area at some point, or at some point in time that happened? I have no idea. But then there are things like this, you know, again, we're clearly photoshopped, and I wish there was a source of satellite imagery that did not change a thing. Because maybe we could find Friesland, maybe we could find a lot of different things accurately if they were really showing us the truth. And someone should put up or just develop some sort of map that does not censor our world. It's a matter of time before this happens. I think Trump was sparking a little bit of interest in the topic of Greenland and the mystery of Greenland. When you just look at that, looks like a river or even a road, a giant highway. There could have been anything here. And with blasts and different explosions, because we know that the powers that be can explode whenever they want, they can do all these things. And I find it also interesting that glacial water is always fresh water, I believe. I don't think salt water forms in that way. So all this water kind of seems to, whenever there's a glacier and it's pure fresh water, it always seems like it comes from somewhere else. It doesn't just come from the sea and turn into an ice cube. It must come down maybe from that polar area that Mercator was talking about, with the whirlpools, with the waters that come down. They believe a lot of the winds come down from there, bring different spores, seed all these areas. But look at these places. A lot of, even if Greenland is covered in ice, a lot of these coastal areas are beautiful. They are absolutely incredible. You could put like little lodges in some of these spots and have hiking trails, and I would go. I would love to go and see Greenland, and especially during the period of darkness. One thing I've always wanted to do was, I talked to a guy once when I was young in France, I believe. He was a world traveler that was working at a park, and he told me the greatest thing he ever done was spending 2 weeks in total darkness in North, I forget where he was, Norway or something like that. And he spent total, I think it was somewhere even else, I'm not even sure, but he spent 2 weeks in total darkness, and then he said once the light rose from the distant horizon, he said it was absolutely amazing, and the people he was with celebrated, and it was like a psychedelic experience that was unmatched, because that really was just the way it is. And people probably got used to that, different Aborigines or Eskimos during the time, the Inuit tribes. They probably loved that. They probably had a different explanation for it, different theory for it. Who knows? You know, and is this just one realm where the sun that we know of activates and enlightens, and then beyond that there's another sun maybe circulating around? I once at a Tesla convention saw a guy with a magnetic magnetic disc, and he basically had a magnet above it, some kind of electromagnet, and he tapped it, and the thing just spun around in circles around this disc for infinitely. It would never have stopped. The motion just kept going. It was exactly as I pictured the flat Earth sun working. And you know, that could be happening on all different realms. Our whole world, we could just be one tiny little circle amidst like a seed of life or a flower of life type design that covers billions of miles of land, and we have no idea about it. And all they have to do is just tweak Google Earth and put a bunch of pictures of pure white and scrub a bunch of stuff that used to exist, and everyone will really fall for it. Like that whole island of Friesland between Iceland and Greenland has been just eradicated from maps, but yet old maps show that it had all these city names on it, all these different town names, and people that usually make up stories about villages and places they've never been to will not usually put incredibly detailed titles for the towns and cities. It seems like that was definitely something that was there at one point. And how could it be vanished? No idea. I'm looking at it as more of a resort land for, you know, they hide these areas, they tell people not to go, they probably restrict people with military not to go, and then they're partying over there. Maybe that's where the hands that basically rock the cradle down here on Earth are. These people, these no-name people that are above the Soroses, above the Rothschilds, above the Rockefellers. Maybe all those people take their orders from these people that live in the beyond. Where would you want to hide if you were the most powerful people controlling Earth? You'd want to hide in a place where people, so far away, people didn't even know it existed. Not only could they not travel there, they would have no will to travel there and try and take you down because they don't think it exists. They're 100% convinced and taught forever that nothing exists in the North Pole. And then this globe, which is different proportions every time you see a picture of it, is as small and confined as we are told, and there's nothing beyond it. And I disagree with that completely. Not only are all the pictures different, but you would think that in a world like now, if they had the technology to show video of the Earth, to show video of the North Pole, to show video of Antarctica, to fly over all these places, to 4K videotape them with a GoPro, to extreme sport over Antarctica, to man vs. wild in Antarctica, to do any of these things, that they would do them, and they don't. So there is definitely something there, especially when Obama and all those guys, Romney or whoever, John Kerry, and the old astronaut, used to do some mysterious rendezvous reconnaissances in Antarctica. There's definitely something going on there. There's definitely something going on in the north. These people, these countries recognized it as strategic territory for military and warfare and for minerals and oil and energy and resources, and there is so much reason why they'd want to keep it secret. There's just absolutely infinite reasons, and there could be land there that they're disguising as Mars whenever they have rovers on Mars and they show pictures. It could be from all of these places. Any other planet that they show in detail is most likely something that is on our planet, and that we will just may not ever get to see, but I hope we do. Some people must know. Some people that have taken these pictures on the Google Earth have definitely seen or flown over Greenland, apparently. So I would love for them to hear some stories. I'd love to hear any kind of stories from these people. Like, I wonder what it's like in the summer there. Is it really nice? You know, is what's in the center? What is underneath? All this stuff. How did it freeze? How long did it take to freeze? Will it unfreeze? And you know, or has it already unfrozen? What is being mined there? What is found there? Are those mountains old trees, ancient forests that one day were huge, or are they something different? There's no telling. I really don't know. But the river going through it, you can imagine what this place would have looked like with a river flowing through it in lush green and lush just vegetation and rocks of different colors, minerals, spores coming down from the north. coloring this place, filling it with mushrooms. I love the slant, the strata on the back. Again, you can still see the geological like shifting, that something happened there. And if it was that giant meteor, that could have blown up a lot of things. It shifted a lot of things, cracked a lot of things, maybe created its own weather, so it like became darkened for a while. A huge cloud maybe made it snow. I don't know. I have no idea about any of this. This is all just theory and me rambling. And that was kind of the point of this Greenland video, as I'm going to go into more details and check out other books later. Look at this. That's just a plateau in the middle of something. That could have been a walled city that got filled in, and anything. Like, just, we never know what the past has done, what our controllers have done to eliminate our grasp of this beautiful territory. So we got to always stay vigilant and try to figure this out as best we can. Look at that stone at the bottom. It looks basically like concrete, like it's either been fused together naturally or been put together by intelligent beings. And there's probably so much to discover, and hopefully we will get a chance to. You know, maybe in our lifetime this place will be opened up to tourism, and people will be able to explore it and find out exactly what's there, find all the little hidden crevices, all the different things that we need to see and need to know about. And this is from one of the old maps where it says, "It is said that these straits were formerly passable, but now they are shut up with ice." That's the river that's going through it. And below that it says, "Ridges of mountains covered with perpetual ice and snow." So maybe it was perpetual ice and snow, but it's shocking that it exists on that latitude if the globe is the way we think it is. And they actually have all different names for different things. There's different whaling zones. There's all different kinds of things there, but that river cutting through it was almost two separate spots. There's no trace of that now. So that would at least form a ridge, and you'd be able to see some brown, but there's nothing. Google Earth just wipes it clean. And that's the thing. We have to find the differences between reality and Google Earth, and we have to exploit them and find the realities. And hopefully someone competes with Google Earth someday and provides something better. And hopefully we all get to travel there someday and find something better. And who knows? But truth is coming. Bless you all.